Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. I wanted to surprise you guys with some footage taken in Kansas. Now, you're not going to believe what you're going to see here, but this is what was captured in Kansas and ran by the local Kansas news. Listen and watch. It's a literal Ouroboros in the sky. The portals are opening. Watch this.
Somebody tell me, what the is this? And I'm not using no app. I am on County Road 2 in between State Avenue and K32. And I have never seen anything like that in my life. And it appears that little black stuff is falling down the center of it. That is just weird. Somebody tell me, what the is this? And I'm not using no app. I am on County Road 2 in between State Avenue and K32. And I have never seen anything like that in my life. And it appears that little black stuff is falling down the center of it.
Are you awake yet? I hope you are. Because what that appears to me to be is some kind of graphene Ouroboros in the sky. Now, I'm learning not to put too much detail in the titles of my shows, because I think there are channels that actually watch our channel and then get what they're going to cover on their next show, and it kind of before we can go live with it. So we might start titling some of our shows just basic titles, but that was literally insane. So I'll put a link to that. The news station thought that it was real and there was no funny business, so they ran it in Kansas. Now, are you any of you from Kansas? Did you hear or see this story? It's gone viral now. But did any of you see this? It's a straight up Ouroboros. Now, the guy looking at it didn't know that it was an Ouroboros because he's probably doesn't watch conspiracy channels, because he would have immediately recognized that as an Ouroboros, as would all of you, right? So this is the importance of being awake and aware to all this occult stuff. So you can see these signs and symbols when they manifest in our reality. The only thing that I can think of is to the reason as to why they would do something like this in the sky is that they've opened some kind of portal. That's the only logical occult explanation for it. But any of you from Kansas who saw this, and then we'll get into this Batman decode. Yes, signs in the heavens, Pierce says, 100%. Shape of things to come. This is what's happening. So Marcy lives in Kansas. Did you see it in the news, Marcy, or see it in Facebook? Yeah, the notifications are lagging, Deborah. Apologies for that. Yeah, this ran on the local news. Something tells me we're not in Kansas anymore. All right, let's get into Batman. Today we're going to break down an episode of the 1966 Batman TV series that aired on 4/6, April 6. Here it is right here on your screen. 4/6/66, 69 days before Trump's 20th birthday. And here you see the title, The Joker Trumps an Ace. Now remember, 4/6 is the year that Trump was born, 1946. So we've got a twin synchronicity there as well. In this entire season, the very first episode aired on May 5th, Cinco de Mayo, and 199 days after this first episode released, the film came out. Batman 1966, 199 days, which of course is a flipped upside down 66. This is all about Trump. The episode, again, titled The Joker Trumps an Ace. Let's get into it. Because what you're going to see and hear next are things specifically related to Trump before he ever even did them. Remember, he was 19 years old, and 69 days after the episode, he became 20 years old. Yet, you're going to hear the Taj Mahal. You're going to hear golden golf clubs. You're going to see and hear looking glass. You're going to hear Trump's age spoken 69 days after the episode, which is 20, and all kinds of other stuff. Now, we had mentioned this whole looking glass thing related to Trump years and years ago, right? I kept saying, does this guy have some kind of looking glass? Because there were just too many synchronicities in the way he was depicted in these movies and films. In Back to the Future as Biff, he got an almanac. He knew the future. The Quantum Leap episode, which was set on his mother's birthday, May 10th, which we now know as Beltane. The Quantum Leap actor says to him, yeah, real estate's going to boom. Now, remember, this was a time when, the real estate in New York was in the toilet. And little Trump, who was 12 years old in the back of the cab, he says, oh, really? So he got some insider information there as well through a time traveler. So there's something to this, isn't there? And now here we are in a Batman episode. We get a third confirmation about this looking glass. Now, let me give you a synopsis of the episode so you're not lost. The Joker trumps an ace. In the episode, Batman and Robin, they believe that there's an important Indian, he's like a, royalty. This Indian millionaire. Back then, millionaire was a big deal. Now it's billionaire, right? And a trillionaire will be the next thing. But in the episode, he's an Indian millionaire. He's some kind of royalty. And he's been abducted from a golf course. But the Joker uses an illusion to trick Batman and Robin. The truck they escape in essentially disappears right on the golf course in plain sight. And Robin calls the technology looking glass. Is this how Trump got wealthy? Is this how he seemed to anticipate everything that was going to happen? Is this how he anticipated both of his presidencies exactly in the exact years that they would happen through the way that he numbered Trump Tower's floors, 58 and 66 floors? Then he goes on to win the 58th presidential quadrennial election 58 years after 1958. That was 2016. And then he went on to win 66 years after 1958. How did he know? Let's watch. The Joker trumps an ace. Now, here is the Batcave. Batman and Robin come down the pole. These are the golden golf clubs. Of course, Trump owns several golf courses, and he's all about the gold.
Golf clubs. Holy Taj Mahal.
There's the Taj Mahal mentioned. Trump would go on to build the Taj Mahal in Atlantic City.
Look at those jewel-studded golf clubs.
That would be a rich prize for the Joker.
They're all under umbrellas. We now know that umbrellas are ferrules. They're needles. They're essentially hypodermic needles. Hypodermic needles now have a part in the needle called a ferrule, Ferrule, which sounds a lot like ferrous, which is iron. And umbrellas have the same part called a ferrule. So we know that the two are synonymous. They're metaphors of one another. And here comes the Maharaji, they call him, under a black umbrella. And then we had all the black umbrella connections to Trump. He was holding the black umbrella. Didn't he like throw the umbrella as he was getting into Air Force One? He was on the cover of Time magazine under a black umbrella. That's the needle.
Very fine chip shot, Your Highness.
Now, the interesting thing is this black umbrella does not fit in the scene, does it? This is not the typical umbrella that a man like this would have over his head. It would be more ornate and decorative, wouldn't it? Remember the artwork in the subway we saw, the subway enclosure or the bus enclosure? There was, oh my gosh, this is insane. Let's look it up. Needle umbrella art bus enclosure. This is literally insane. Umbrella art. Let me see if we can find this. We probably won't be able to find it now. It was like a New York subway or a New York bus enclosure. Of course, we can't find it now, but it was a thing that we covered. That would be, and it was seemed like it went along with this whole Indian motif. That particular artwork, it looked almost the same, didn't it? That would be a more appropriate image to put above his head, but the straight black umbrella just does not fit in the scene, which tells us that it is symbolic.
What's so fine? It should have been closer.
Let's get going and make an emergency bat turn.
Not this time, old chum. Have to think of the golfers. The retro rockets would burn up the course for 100 yards.
So Batman, of course, is concerned about what, doing an emergency bat turn would do to the golf course, tearing up the golf course. That would be something Trump would say, right? Inappropriate, out of touch. He does this a lot. So Batman, he is Batman, right? Batman's concerned about tearing up the golf course when they're abducting the Maharaji. Let's keep watching. Now, at this point, we get this special effect. And this is the Joker, and Batman and Robin think that they're inside their hideout, but they're really not. They use this technology.
Holy looking glass.
A truck with folding mirrors in its side.
Wow. Holy looking glass technology. And they're the folding mirrors. Gay fellow cleaners, it folds inside and they disappear.
Holy looking glass.
A truck with folding mirrors in its sides. With nothing but the green of the golf course to reflect, it turned green too and seemed to disappear.
No wonder it vanished.
Yes. But we're on to your tricks, Joker.
Now, there's a bit of a looser connection with this next part, but I thought it was worth a mention because you guys are super smart and you can kind of help me decode some of this stuff. There's a theme of gas coming out of pits. The first time it happens is when the Maharaji is on the golf course. This is how they abduct him. The Joker put some kind of weird toxic gas inside the hole, the golf hole, and it knocks out the Maharaji and his security detail here, and they abduct him. But then there's a second scene at the end of the episode where Batman and Robin are in a smokestack, and the Joker tries to poison them with a gas inside the smokestack. So there's an obvious parallel there, isn't there? There's also a mention of Corona. They call it crowning, but we know crown is Corona. Let's keep watching here. Let me show you. The ball goes in the hole, the gas comes out. The green, the gas. I mean, this is so creepy, right? Like, what does this all mean? He's putting. Like, I'm trying to make sense of all this.
Sorry to be so abrupt. This could be an emergency.
Here's the scene at the end where Batman and Robin are stuck in the smokestack.
Holy smokestack.
What a spot to get out of.
Right, Batman.
But that's gas. I do believe you're right.
But you can't float in gas.
No, but you can drown in it.
Remember the It clown? You'll all float too. There's something about this gas. There's something about helium and methane. It clown.
There's nothing for them to catch on. Goodbye, dynamic duo.
So they hatch a way to basically get out of the smokestack by putting their backs to each other and shimmying up the smokestack. Now, the way these episodes work in the old Batman series is that they happened in pairs. Let me show you that. Let's go back down here. See the pairs here? It's always in pairs. You have to ask why they did this. Dynamic duo, but it's also like a Gemini clue, isn't it? It's a doubling, twinning, which is everything we've been uncovering. And so the same goes for this episode. The Joker, Trumps, and Ace was the first in a pair. So I thought, okay, it's fair game to decode the next one called Batman Sets the Pace. So let's take a look. Batman Sets the Pace. And this is where I got my answer in the second of the pair. Because you could figure out what happened to Batman and Robin after they're tricked into the smokestack full of poison gas. And this is where I got my answer. About the smoke coming from the pits. As Batman and Robin shimmy up the smokestack, and the Joker checks the gauge, which reads 20 feet.
Is this the Joker's crowning jest?
Oh, there's the crowning part. Sorry, should have let that play through. Crowning Corona.
Find out tomorrow night. Same time, same channel.
I better check the gauge. Oh! The gas is 20 feet high in the chimney.
So the gas is 20 feet high in the chimney. 68 days after this episode aired, Trump would become 20 years old. Now, next, we're going to hear more on this looking glass connection because it gets mentioned again.
They must be gone.
What is a one-way glass reversing refractor?
In the direction opposite to the one for which it was designed.
You can look through from the wrong side.
That's right. A prism, which placed flush against any one-way glass, will by refraction enable one to look through the one-way glass.
Oh, you mean like one-way mirrors and stuff? Gee, Bruce, this would be keen for spies, wouldn't it?
Dick, why don't you select something you like and I'll just browse around?
Oh, this is just shocking. Now you saw the Asian woman there, and weirdly, the Maharaji in the episode is said to be, they keep calling him Oriental. And I didn't play those clips, but that's what they used to call people from India. They used to call them Oriental. And then, of course, you saw the Asian lady. So there's our, I guess, a loose connection to the China connection. So we've got basically a bunch of syringes, black smoke, or smoke, not black smoke, but smoke, some kind of poison in the syringe, in these pipes. We've got the Chinese connection. We've got looking glass technology to see the future or to see beyond the veil. We've got Taj Mahal. We've got golden golf clubs. We've got Trump mentioned. We've got doubling, twinning. Let's keep watching here. Now, at this point, Batman's looking through and he sees the gang with he sees the gang, but he does not see the Joker. He sees the Maharaji, and they're just all sitting around sipping on whatever like nothing. So Batman is suspicious at this point. He's like, something's not right here. And here's the final proof of the Trump connection. Are you ready? This should seal the deal for anyone on the fence. Let me go back into the chat. Good morning, everybody. This next part I'm going to show you will seal the deal for anybody still on the fence. Now, this is shocking. This goes back a very long time. Here we go.
Is it always darkest just before the dawn?
Is it always darkest just before the dawn? Where did we hear this before? Two-Face Harvey Dent in the decode that we just did 2 days ago. Harvey Dent said it is just darkest before the dawn. He must have pulled this from this episode. 1966. And remember, The Dark Knight Rises aired in 2012 when Trump was 66 years old. It's almost as if it's all completing a circle. Let's keep watching. There's more.
Not when dawn, that is to say 10 a.m., brings ruin and humiliation.
Not when dawn, 10 a.m., brings ruin and humiliation.
Pay to the altar of that man.
1 T.
More proof. Now, it sounds like a loose connection, this next thing I'm going to show you, but I've learned never to dismiss these scenes. Because when the Holy Spirit is whispering to you that there's something to see, you never ignore it. At least make a note of it. I'll make a note of it to see how it fits into the decode. But here, Batman literally says, he corrects him, he says 1 T. Now, everybody knows that Batman's about the easiest thing to spell. You would never put 2 T's in the word Batman or the name Batman. And so what he's really saying here when he says 1 T is he's basically talking about Trump's logo, his signature, which is just a single T. Now, what's going on in this scene here? Well, Batman is tricked into receiving a ransom check or endorsing a ransom check to free the Maharaja. But this really isn't the Maharaja. He's a double of the original Maharaja who is somewhere else. T is the 20th letter of the alphabet, the age Trump would be 68 days after this episode aired. So, Batman figures it out. What does he do? He pokes him with a needle to see if the Maharaja is really the Joker in a costume. Remember, we told you that this needle poking thing is causing doubling. Well, that's exactly what happens in the episode. Batman pokes him, and the Maharaja is a double. 1 good, 1 evil. Watch.
Pay to the altar of that man.
1 T.
$500,000. Profession.
Look at this. The bat needle. Literally. Bats is what they blamed COVID on in the beginning.
And if people lie to bandits, pretty soon bandit will lie to people. Soon nobody will have anything.
He pokes him twice. The 2 shots.
Also in my... Oh, no, you don't.
I wish I would have showed you that, but anyone can go look up this episode. He actually shoves the needle in twice. The second time he pushes it in a little bit harder, and it finally gets to the Joker underneath. Then the fight ensues. I can't even believe this. This is supernatural. And of course, the Maharaja is full of like stuffing. They pull all the stuffing out. And underneath, it's the Joker. So, we have 2 shots, 2 needles. We have twinning. Literally everything we said exactly of what it was. How did we know? Well, we didn't know anything. That's God trying to warn people. He's revealing these things so people can have some kind of proof to wake up. It's not just some YouTuber making things up. There's a pattern here. This twin identity, a person within a person, the nested reality shells.
But where's the Maharaja?
There isn't any. As you recall, you never saw the 2 of them together.
There never was.
You mean it was the Joker all the time?
Right.
Unbelievable, right? I want to get a reaction out of you guys. You can see that we never were on here just to make things up, okay? We were looking at patterns. And so it's all there. There's nothing left to chance. There's no missing information. There's no extra information. It all fits together perfectly, doesn't it? And I hope you understand now. Because we get a lot of criticism. People say, oh, this channel is so confusing. It's all just no. It's not confusing at all. We've been focusing on about 5 different numbers that keep appearing in these spots. We've been focused on about 10 different themes that keep appearing, reinforcing each other, showing up at exactly the right places. And so this is what's happening. None of it's made up. It's all there for those who can set their ego aside and actually see and take a minute to focus on the information. Now, there's one last piece of this, and then I have a couple headlines for you guys this morning. What the heck? I'm literally blown away. Now, most of what I showed you today was from show notes that I put together, but about 25% of it was even new information for me, just going on the fly. You know, the whole 2 needles poking, I just remembered that. I was like, whoa, yeah, he poked him twice. That's the 2 shots. Now, let's keep going. There's one last part here. And it's about the governor.
Shocking news, Batman.
What could it be?
I've heard a most alarming rumor that you've been asked to go to California and run for governor.
Now, of course, Trump never was a governor, but you get the inference here. Basically, the president.
As long as there's a criminal at large in Gotham City, wild horses couldn't drag me away. Goodbye, Commissioner.
Holy Golden Gate!
It's pretty silly back then, right? But how did they know? I mean, this is chilling. I'm getting like chills. Now, I have a couple more stories today. And again, you're not going to believe this. This is front page news. A Bush official has now claimed that the United States secretly built a $21 trillion underground city for the rich and powerful to live if a near extinction event happens. This is what they did with our tax dollars in secret. This is mainstream news, breaking news. This woman right here. We're going to read this in high detail because there may be some clues in here. $21 trillion of our tax dollars to leave us all out in the dry. You know, if something were to happen, if a meteor was to come or something. A vast network of underground bunkers all over the world. The federal government has secretly spent trillions, and they're not even saying this as like a question or a theory. They're literally admitting it. The federal government has secretly spent trillions building an elaborate network of subterranean cities where the rich and powerful can shelter during a near extinction event, a former Bush White House official sensationally claimed. Now, this is crazy because from time to time over the years, we've seen these shortages, right? These quote unquote shortages. And we have to destroy 500 million chickens, and there's a beef recall and all this stuff. Maybe they were just secretly stuffing the stuff underground in these huge freezers. Let's keep reading. I think things are getting really weird. I think a lot of people are dying right now from the it, and they can't hide it anymore. One of my favorite YouTubers that I watch, multiple strokes, had a couple years ago, perfectly healthy guy, younger than me. Now he had 2 strokes in a row. Nobody knows what it is. We all know. But curiously, when you go to the channel and you look, I searched the entire comment section and not one person mentioned the it. It's been scrubbed. So YouTube is using AI to scrub all comments trying to discuss this. And you know why they're doing this, right? Because if people start to wake up to it, guess what? YouTube and all these other mainstream outlets who are promoting this and allowing people to talk about it and go get your this and go get your that, they would be in big trouble, wouldn't they? They would be liable. So they're hiding it. Let's keep reading about this. 170 bunkers have been built across the country since 1998, including some resting beneath the oceans off the U.S. coast. 74-year-old Catherine Austin Fitz told Tucker Carlson during a recent appearance on his podcast, "It's preparation for a catastrophe," Fitz said, according to Realtor.com. Fitz, look at this, a former housing official. Okay, that's just like a sample picture there. Okay, Fitz, who served as Assistant Secretary of Housing and Urban Development under George H.W. Bush from 89 to 90, claimed that $21 trillion in taxpayer dollars was funneled into the project. Maybe I wonder what happened to all that money from the Twin Towers. Maybe that was to erase all that money that was spent on this. Maybe that's what this 9/11 was all about. Let's keep reading. She provided no evidence for her claims, but said a 2017 report from Michigan State University economist Mark Skidmore indicated that much unauthorized spending had been uncovered across the Departments of Defense and Housing and Urban Development during that time. After 2 years of combing through records related to already documented underground military bases, Fitz says she also looked into allegations of a wider bunker network. So she says some of this stuff is under the ocean. Comparing her research against the missing cash, Fitz said she was able to make a guess about how many facilities there really are. Now think about this. Who had a submarine? If you have an underwater base, you would need a submarine. Maybe that's really where Ghislaine Maxwell is. She got in her sub and took off. And they just want us to believe she's in jail so they could protect their little secret. Let's keep reading here. She claimed that 170 only applied to bases on U.S. soil and around its coastline, alleging that more exist across the world. And the bases are connected by an elaborate transportation system, while claiming they are powered by a secret energy system known only to the military. So they have free energy. They're not sharing it with us. I'm convinced that this energy exists. If you look at a lot of really fast ships flying around the planet, they're not using classical electricity, she said in apparent reference to a spate of bizarre unidentified aerial phenomenon supposedly flying around the skies in recent years. Those alleged bases are used not just as doomsday bunkers for the elite, Fitz claims, but also as places for the government to operate secret operations like a secret space program. The existence of the elaborate underground government bases and bunkers is no secret. During the Cold War, Cheyenne Mountain Complex was built inside of Colorado Mountain to serve as hardened base of operations for various military operations. From the 1950s, blah, blah, we already know all that history. Fitz, who worked as an investment banker before joining the Bush administration, also floated a number of other outlandish ideas while speaking to Carlson, including that the COVID-19 smack the nation had DNA modifying ingredients and that a shadowy global cabal is trying to use mind control to enslave the world. She's right over the target. That's exactly what's going on. Wow. Now, I got one more story to share with you guys before we pop off of here. Now, we were all told, the deadline for Real ID. You better get it or you're going to be stranded as a traveler. You're not going to be able to go anywhere. So you better listen to us. All these threats, does it all sound familiar? Remember the near mandatory smack the nation? Made everyone think, it's going to be mandatory anyway. You might as well just go get it. You're going to be stuck. You're going to lose your job, your whatever. You're going to get kicked out of your rental. And now all of a sudden, guess what they say now? U.S. Homeland Security Chief says travelers without Real ID will be allowed to fly. I'm so sick of these people threatening us, telling us this is going to happen if you don't do this. And then when it all shakes out, you didn't have to do it to begin with. That's called gaslighting, isn't it? U.S. Homeland Security, Christy Nome said air travelers starting Wednesday who do not have their enhanced ID cards may face enhanced security procedures, but will not be denied access to flights. So there you go. You just have to go into a different line. But unfortunately, a lot of people gave in because they believed the threat. When are we going to stand up and realize all these people are on the same side and that their job is to gaslight us and bring us into a world order where they control us with technology and make us do what they want until we decide and we wake up and say no more. We don't believe your political system. We don't believe your voting and all your stuff that you try to make us do. Leave us alone. Let's go back to the Constitution and be the way things were before. Until we stand up and come out of it and stop trying to defend our side, whether it be Biden or whether it be Trump, we're just going to continue to allow this to happen. See, they need your consent. In some countries, it's mandatory to vote. What is it, Australia? If you don't vote in Australia, you'll get a fine. Why? Because they need your consent. They need your consent. Okay, I'm back in the chat. My mind's blown right now. You guys, I don't know about you, but my mind is blown after that Batman episode and all these revelations about these, the vast network of underground bases, underwater bases. All right. Good morning. I'm just reading the chat here. Trump said he didn't know if he was supposed to defend the Constitution. Right? You see the problem? See where all this is headed? Thanks, Kim. Constitution was a ruse. I believe it was as well. They never intended to follow the Constitution. That was just for people to think they were defending freedom when they really never were. We need to have faith to overcome. 100%. Our reality is no longer in this world. The Bible says over and over again that our eyes are supposed to be fixed on heaven, not this place. This is not our life. This is not our world. This is simply a blip. And the choices that you make here in this reality will determine where we go, right? Same as toll. Pay less and we keep track of you. And drip feed, so no physical attendance and cash there at all. Yes. Fake freedom. Government ruse. In the Dark Knight, all the cops are underground when Bane attacks. Yes, Charles. Yeah, we covered that in the decode we did on the Dark Knight series. We covered how there was these themes of a pit, things coming up out of the pit. And we saw the same thing happen in Batman 1966 that we just covered right now. But in Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises, or just Dark Knight Rises, it was a pit where Batman came out of and the cops came out of. They came out transformed, didn't they? And I don't know about you, but it feels like we live in a brand new America. I've never seen anything like this. Never. And I'm conservative, but this is crazy. All right. So it suggests that we are at the end of something, doesn't it? So that's why we don't have to be depressed or sad or anything like that, because we're at the end of it all. It has to be, with everything that's happening. We might have to go through a few years of pain, but at the end of it, Jesus has to be coming back. I mean, we have to be like right there. I really hope so. Why the heck are they threatening to move American citizens to South America, says Marcy. I did not hear about that. Okay. Yeah, I was looking, someone had asked me about Maximum Overdrive, and I know that we decoded that film. Maximum Overdrive is about a comet that comes and it possesses any any vehicles, trucks, buses, and the last humans on Earth are basically chased into a diner, and they're all in there hiding out, trying to escape, but the diner's like surrounded by semi trucks and hot rods. Now you got to remember, this was before cars had chips in them. This movie came out in 1986. This was before cars had chips in them, long before. So how would a car or a vehicle be possessed? Well, it was a foreshadowing of the things to come. They knew they were going to put chips and a remote electronic control into these vehicles. They knew this was coming, so they made a movie about it. Now, to me, the vehicles in Maximum Overdrive really represent like robots and how they're going to control them against humanity. That's really, I believe, what they were foreshadowing. But anyway, I went back to look and I could not find the decode we did on Maximum Overdrive. I might need to look at the film again. It's really old though, 1986. Anyway, as I was looking back to those videos, I found a 2014 decode we did. You guys, that's 11 years ago. The decode was on Joan Rivers and her coma being foreshadowed in The Simpsons. We were doing Simpsons decodes 11 years ago. And now, of course, The Simpsons decodes are mainstream. The mainstream media is literally has whole segments on how The Simpsons predicted this and The Simpsons predicted that. But I look back on this channel and I'm like, wow, we were one of the people that started that. We were decoding The Simpsons 11 years ago. There was one where we did about Prince, because Prince's death was foreshadowed in The Simpsons. There's an episode where Prince is in the clouds, and we decoded that, and he's with like Shakespeare, if my memory serves me correctly. Maybe I'll put together all those Simpsons decodes from 2014, and I'll do a montage for you guys so you guys can see some of the early work. And then you ask yourself, well, Casey, how is it that you were one of the people, one of a very small group of YouTube channels that started the whole Simpsons decoding phenomenon, but your channel is still pretty small? and your views are well under 10,000 views per decode. Well, that's because of YouTube. That's how censorship works. So what I'm trying to get you guys to understand, the people that really put in the work are the ones that finish last on YouTube. They do not want people to see these powerful decodes because it would wake a lot of people up. It would change the course of American history if millions of people saw these decodes, right? It literally would. So I'm going to put together a montage of those old Simpsons decodes from 2014. I'll put dates in there so you can see that I'm not making all this up. And you'll see where a lot of the stuff that you see now in the mainstream truth community originated on channels like this. It's a miracle that we're still around, really, to be honest with you. But we use coded language. We don't rant too much. We don't focus on groups. This is what YouTube doesn't like. This is how you'll get your channel terminated if you start attacking people or things like this. So I'm probably going to do that for tomorrow's show. I'm going to put together those old Simpsons decodes. There are probably a handful of them that are really good. But yeah, the Joan Rivers Simpson thing we found, she was literally in a hospital bed. And of course, the rest is history. She literally went in for a surgery and never woke up after she exposed Obama's wife. Remember this? She said, "We all know." And then she was dead. So Simpsons didn't really predict. Yeah, of course. I know that. Yeah. It's more gaslighting. It's what it is. It's gaslighting. All right, guys. That's about it. I love each and every one of you. Thanks for showing up today, as always. And I will see you guys tomorrow with all these Simpsons decodes. I'll try to put them all together in a montage for you. Have a great rest of your day, you guys. Much love.